Let's talk about how you pick junior mining stocks. Your process, red flags you look for that will eliminate picks immediately, and a few green flags you look for. Gwen, start with you.
Yeah, so I'm sure each of us could spend an entire half hour answering that question on its own. The way I distill it, if I'm trying to give it in a short answer, is can management in a few minutes tell me a clear plan for how they are attempting to add value in the near term? And I know that sounds basic, that's what every stock is supposed to be trying to do, but that requires a lot of layers of backup when you're talking about an exploration company. So not only do they have a project that has, where there's some geophysical maps that have pretty looking bullseyes on them, but like, what is are there multiple layers of evidence for the target? What is the plan for how you're logistically, physically, permitting-wise going to attack that target? Do you have the money to attack that target? What are you going to do if you hit on that target, and what are you going to do if you miss on that target in terms of capital and in terms of focus? Management that is management's job, to have those questions answered. And you'd be surprised at how unfortunately infrequent it is that they don't have all of those answers available. And so it's just a clarity of plan that covers all the bases. I'm happy to talk to anybody about that more, but that's what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, really. There's not a lot to add to that. I think, from my perspective, I look first at the geology. That's what I am. The geology, the target, is a target realistic? Does it make a difference? Too many companies, in my view, are out there looking for something that, even if they're successful, nobody's going to care. In terms of nobody, I mean none of the major companies are going to care. So what you're going to have is a company with developing some sort of resource that's, it's okay, it's mediocre really, and they're going to continue raising money at the same or lower share prices, diluting out whatever you might have made in that to come up with a deposit that no one really wants. That to me is the biggest issue here. And so when I talk to a company, it's like, okay, what are you looking for? What does it look like? What do you have to achieve in order to advance this project at higher share prices? What's your CapEx going to be if you find something? I mean, you need to know that sort of thing before you can go into a target. So those are the sort of things I look for. And if they don't know that, that's the biggest red flag. Likewise, the presentations in their newsletter, in their news releases, or on the website, I want to see, paragraph or two, very simply, what's going on, anyone can understand. Then I want to see details. I want to see cross-sections, maps, what they run. Another red flag, if they do not include historic drill holes, historic data, big red flag. Most of these projects have been drilled and tested a few times in the past. They bring them up, rename them, drill the same hole. So be careful of that. What's been done there before, and what are they doing different that's going to make a difference? I'll quit there.
Quick break here, guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Copernico Metals. Now, regular viewers of my channel will be familiar with the entrepreneur behind Copernico. His name is Ivan Bebek. Now, although a young man in this business, Ivan's already created tremendous value for his shareholders in the past, namely with Caden Resources, which he sold to Agnico Eagle, and Keegan Resources, which became a mine now owned by Galliano Gold. Now, Ivan has surrounded himself with expertise from BHP, Newmont, and VRIC on his board at Copernico Metals. Check out copernicometals.com. Now back to the interview.
So when I hear about a stock that is jumping or a great drill result and I'm not familiar with the company, first thing I ask is, okay, where is it and who's behind it? I want to know that it's in a pro-mining jurisdiction, not a risky jurisdiction, and I want to know who's behind it. And the people behind it need to have demonstrated success in their past in order for me to really want to get behind them. Now, I will miss some because of that. There are some questionable jurisdictions where there's going to be some, good drill hits, or someone with no experience can have success. I understand that. But we're already in the riskiest sector in the world, so I want to reduce that risk. So that's why I do that. And it's very easy to look at if you have strong people behind a project. Just go look at what companies they were affiliated with before, that they were running before, and ask a very simple question. What did the stock price do under their tenure? Did they create shareholder value? That's success right there for us as investors. That's what I'm looking for.
So let's do a 3-minute stock pitch each. One pick and why.
One pick. Oh, put me on the spot. I'm going to talk about uranium. I'm going to say yes. The big uranium, the flagship uranium companies have obviously moved significantly in the last 8 months. I get that. I think there's more room to go in those stocks. I think there's quite a high likelihood that this Russian ban happens, either from the American side and or from Putin saying, screw you guys, I'm going to cut you off before you cut me off. And I think that that can have a really strong impact on the uranium price. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in uranium across the board. What I want to say right now is that because of sentiment hesitation in uranium, which is a long-standing thing, that has shifted a lot in the last few years, but is still, it's sort of like a hangover, right? The hesitation is still present. The rising tide has not actually lifted the pre-discovery explorers. And I get that the pre-discovery explorers are the riskiest, but when you have a very buoyant sector, at some point, the tide does lift all the boats. And so you can actually look at the sub $30 million market cap uranium explorers, and most of them haven't moved anywhere near as much as the major companies. Now, when you're going to do that, then go in and make sure that there's actually uranium expertise on management. We're not really at the stage yet where there's all kinds of fly-by-night junior uranium explorers. We're not there yet, so it's not as risky as it has been in other uranium cycles, but make sure that management is legit. They have uranium expertise and success in the past. And if you can find a pre-discovery explorer, the one that I'll name is COSA, C-O-S-A, COSA Resources. This is the team that was behind ISO, the discovery at Hurricane. The members of the team have multiple discoveries in the Athabasca. They're experts. And they've spent the last year and a half building a really interesting portfolio of projects. They're a pre-discovery explorer. They don't have an asset that I can tell you pounds or grade or anything. But I think there's the potential of a twofold opportunity, which is a rising tide reaching down to the explorers and giving them some of the leverage that they haven't enjoyed yet. And then, of course, if there's a discovery, then, who knows what might happen.
Would you like to give a name?
That's COSA, C-O-S-A, COSA Resources.
Brent.
I'll give you 2 in 2 minutes.
Go ahead. You're a good
First-
negotiator.
And this first one, just for the benefit of Jay here, is Vizsla Silver. They've got a big district of high-grade silver gold veins in Mexico. They're generally wide veins. The grade is good. Location's good. I think that is probably the best undeveloped silver project that I'm aware of. The second one I'm going to give you is not here, Arizona's Sonora Copper. I've been there a few times. Joe Mazumder's been there a few times. It's down in Arizona. Here's the key to any deposit in Arizona. It's got water. It owns the water. It owns the land. It's high grade. It's permittable. It's on private land. And the copper oxide they're going to produce, they can produce it right there on site and sell it right there in the States. So the concentrate doesn't have to go to China or somewhere, which is an issue these days. So that is a very nice project as well. It's Arizona's Sonora Copper, ASCU, and that gives me 4 more seconds. I'll grant that to you.
Okay, I'm going to give 2 in 2 minutes also.
Thank you.
With the caveat that you must own a basket if you're going to be investing in junior miners. But these 2 companies most people have not heard of, which I love. One is Emperor Metals. They're here. You can talk to them. I stumbled across them, and this might be one of the best kept secrets in Quebec. They already have a small resource, but what CEO John Florek did was he brought his AI success over to this company and did some modeling with that and realized there's a lot more ounces here than they previously realized. Also, there's probably 70,000 meters of unsampled drill core. It was never sampled. They've hit high grade. They have a high grade core basically with probably a bulk tonnage asset underneath it. Long story short, it appears that they're going to have not 1 or 2 million ounces of gold here, but 3, 4, 5 million ounces of gold, potentially even more. They're not going to have to build a mill. because all the mills in the area, they're surrounded by projects and mines and mills. All the mills in the area are underfed, so they're going to need ore. So Emperor's not going to have to build a mill. The CEO was buying shares in this stock before he joined the company because he liked it as an investment. That really made me perk up. It's Emperor Metals, they're here. The other one you probably have not heard of, which I love, again, Argentina Lithium and Energy. Have you heard of the company called Stellantis? Most people have not heard of this. Well, they're a major auto manufacturer, huge company, and they invested 90 million Argentine pesos in this company. And it's a tiny lithium explorer in Argentina. They have no production. Why would a major auto manufacturer invest in this company? There's a lot I could say about that, but they're in the lithium triangle. They're backed by the Grosso Group. The projects are highly prospective. So I'm going to join Stellantis and invest in this tiny lithium explorer. Both those stocks are very undervalued. Nobody's heard of them. I think they're going to run at some point.